Hello, 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 and welcome to Smart Impressions. I'm Rachel. And if you are working at the team and you're struggling trying to delegate effectively, and maybe you're really feeling like you need to empower your team to really drive high performance so they can say a no to you, you're going to love this show. It's all about the inner game of performance. And we're going to talk about mastering self leadership and human edge in business with no other, an author, a speaker, a coach, Mr. Bijou Salenki. Thank you for coming.
Hello, Rachel. Yeah, fantastic. Great to be here. And it's amazing how we got this going because we met randomly in Dubai, sort of passing in the sort of the lounge, got talking, and then here we are.
Well, you talk about things I love to talk about, which is humans and how to really drive elevation, because no doubt we don't learn this in school. And so I would love to dive into this. There's no doubt in these working team environments that have now become hybrid and online and offline and in-house. I mean, it's really so elaborate now, and trying to find the keys to how leaders can really drive the best results with their team is really what I want to empower our audience with today. And you are the guy. So tell me, how did this start for you?
So my background is in psychology. I used to be a psychology lecturer many years ago, and I specialized in sports psychology. And sport is all about performance. It's all about winning, whether it's football, rugby, cricket, baseball, NFL, whatever it may be. It's all about performance in that respect. So I did that for a few years. Then I went into the corporate world, and then I decided to do my own thing in terms of coaching and training. So I thought, let me take the principles of sport into the business world. And the principles are the same. It's like performance, how to perform is your potential minus interference. So once you identify what's in the way of you reaching your potential, we now have the opportunity to perform great. And then the interference, most of the time, it's in your head. It's the mindset. It's an identity question. But we often think it's something over there. I haven't got the money. I haven't got the resources. I haven't got the people. And it might be the case, but you haven't got the money or the resources because your mindset might be in a certain way. So it's a circular, fluid thing. So that, and then I thought, well, what's the most important thing within any business context, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or big corporate, is leadership. And leadership, I think, is overcomplicated. And there's a lot of dialogue around how do we manage other people. And I thought, actually, the first person we need to be able to manage is ourselves. So my whole doctrine is around self-leadership. Is if you show up in the way that you want to show up, guess what? Others will start showing up. I'll go back to that Michael Jackson song, The Man in the Mirror. First place you look, be the change you want to see in others. And there's too much about, well, if those people just changed, my life would be great. Well, hey, why don't you adapt a little bit of awareness, a bit of change, a bit of, communication that allow others people to think, actually, wow, and you're inspired by their actions. So that's where it's come from.
I love it. I love it because, you hear the same story every day. I'm going to move, I'm going to run, I'm going to go away. And maybe if I change my situation, I'll get better. And the same thing applies to this conversation. And the reality is always you. No matter where you go, you can't hide. If you don't change, you're not going to change anything around your environment. So let's jump into it, because self-leadership is important. And clearly, I think this will gravitate to anyone listening who wants to grow, who sees this self-reflection and is open to it, because that's the first recognition, right? You kind of have to be aware of.
Yeah.
And so what's kind of, how does mastering this foundation, or how do you create a foundation around peak performance for professionals so they can do it in the workspace? And I'm sure it rolls over into a personal space, right?
Of course it does. It rolls over in all different places. And I talk about life as a game, and like sport is a game, life is a game. And there's 3 games we need to conquer. And the first game is the inner game, our mindset, specifically our identity. Is who do we want to represent? So whether you want to work in a corporate organization, solo entrepreneur, whatever, is that your actions and your values will embody your identity. So if your identity is someone who procrastinates, if your identity is someone who is not sure about themselves, it reflects in your actions and your excuses. So the first place we look at is your identity. The second place we look at is the second game, is the game plan. It's what's the strategy you have in your life. We talk about morning routines. We talk about exercise routines. You want to see how successful someone is? Look at their habits. Look at what they do habitually without thinking, and that will determine. That's what we talk about, how we create different behaviors. And again, habits are determined by our values. The third game is the outer game, and everyone takes action, otherwise the world wouldn't exist. However, what separates the elite and the geniuses is the consistency of actions. But then that leads back to your game plan and your mindset. So all connects together. So it's understanding actually, how am I showing up for myself, my own self-respect? How does that then? Because people judge you in between between the doing. It's like the bedside manner. We don't want the best qualified doctor. We want the doctor who's got the best bedside manner. They're able to listen to us, have empathy with us. That allows us to then feel like we feel valued, and there's a great communication. There's no difference in leadership.
Oh my God, you're speaking to the choir, and I say that with like the utmost respect, because this AI world we're living in, and I know we met at GITEX of all places, which is crazy, but within this ecosystem of AI and technology, people are worried about their jobs and worried about becoming obsolete, and yet I love connecting with professionals like yourself, where we are still driving this human element that will never be replaceable by any technology. And so why for you is human element and emotional intelligence and empathy and connection so essential, in delivering these business results that won't be replaced by a computer?
When you think about AI, like, in the last 3 years, since ChatGPT came into our world, and then all the other sort of platforms that allows us to put one little prompt in, and by this one little prompt, it does all the heavy lifting. It gives us a content plan. It gives us a report. It gives us all these things. And we think, wow. And it gives us in a format that, okay, we can do it. Now, because the bar is so low to create all this, all of a sudden, it's like what's the edge that we have over AI, right? We're sentinel beings. We have empathy. We have consciousness. That's the difference. And that's our edge. So when we're in a group situation, is what creates a culture? It's the intangible things. It's the feeling. It's the knowing that you feel valued. It's the knowing that if you speak up, it's not just it's not like when we say to someone, it's like a prompt and they reply immediately, right? It's not you don't have hallucination in terms of they're always going to say you're great, you're great, you're great. So the edge we have is that, for my take, is this: AI, if we use it the right way, will bring humanity back together. And the reason I say is this: I have this notion about being busy. And if you 5 years ago, if you took even 3 years ago, you talk people, I'm really busy. I've got to write this report. I've got to make this. I've got to do this content. They're busy doing some stuff, right? Now, the thing they were busy doing so many years ago, right now, with the right prompt and right AI tools, you can get done in 10 minutes. So that leaves us as humans more time to get what I call around the campfire. We can talk to each other. We can strategize. We can listen. Because the heavy lifting's done over there. So it's about understanding AI won't take us over, but in a right way, what it will do, it gives the opportunity to connect with you as humans. Because the things that we got so occupied doing, being busy, now we've got tools to do that.
Yeah.
Think about this conversation here, right? Is you could have easily put a load of questions in ChatGPT. What would Beiju say? Right, based on his online profile. Beiju would say this, and you could have a nice document, and you could create 2 avatars, and you could get the avatars saying those things, and someone think, that's great, but there's something missing. There's something about the instantaneous conversation. There's something about the Wi-Fi not working. There's something about the lighting not great. There's something that the imperfection makes us feel connected. Whereas with the AI, it's like it's so polished, it's so perfect, it's so sanitized, that there's no room for that in between bit. So there you go. I could
keep going. You're on a roll. Give it to me. I like it because there is that authenticity. That's what it is, right?
I'll give you some of the biggest things that happen in our life are unplanned. And when I ask people is that, think about, if you're in a relationship, think about the first time you met your partner, whether it was at an event or partner, whatever, is that morning, did you know I'm going to meet the person of my life? You're not. Something occurred. You went to a party, you went to a bar, someone arranged a blind date, but you didn't. So the very things that are big to us happen because we just showed up. I was working with a bunch of recruitment consultants a couple of weeks ago, and I sat in the room. I said, look, let's be honest. How many of you at 5 years old said, I want to be a recruitment consultant? No one, right? It's not a dream job, right? However, and then I said, but there's probably a series of sliding door moments, series of decisions that Sometimes you're in control. Sometimes you sort of took the opportunity. Before you know it, you're a recruitment consultant. Now you're a recruitment consultant. You're going to think, well, how do I make hay? How do I maximize this to get the returns I want? Which I get, and there's no make wrong. So sometimes just being available, showing up, which AI technology can't do, but humans can, is a differential.
Yeah. I feel like we could go on a roll here for a while, because I just, I love to hear people that are scared, because I'm just like, whoa, calm down. And I love this idea that the AI will give us our time back. Like, imagine you now have time to relate and connect, where the challenge is going to be that people they're losing the skill. It's a soft skill, right? And we're not practicing. Clients, and like basically we've been leaning on it. It's like we've got right. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's to be discovered. And I invite everyone that's listening today, jump into the conversation, ask Baiju some, dire questions that you've been trying to struggle with in your business and understand what's going on. I'm sure many people are probably going, I wish my boss was better and let me say no and basically grow and, have a role in my organization to really stand up and connect and feel valued. Because again, this value, one thing I
want to say about leadership, you just mentioned about, I wish my boss would let me say no. I was coaching a young solicitor yesterday as part of a big law firm I'm working with, and there's a notion when you start on the sort of the as a young, not an apprentice, but an early employee, you're young, you're in the profession, whether it's a corporate, whatever, they have a perception of thinking I shouldn't ask too many questions because I might be seen as someone who doesn't know how to do their job. I don't want to bother people because I might be annoying, right? And they sort of stay in their thing. And the problem is when they're not open about their communication, is they overthink things and they make assumptions up that turn into truths. And that creates lack of communication. However, leaders, as you and I know, when we're running organizations, running teams, the one who asks us the most questions, we know deep down they're the ones, right? Because they really want to learn. The ones who keep coming to us with different ideas, who have that confidence, is the ones that we feel they're the ones going to be the stars. So there's a paradox between what young professionals think leaders want, and I can't be bothered. I don't want to ask questions because that means I don't know how to do my job and I look stupid. The converse is true. If you ask questions, it shows me you're willing to learn and you're willing to raise, and that's the kind of person I want. So in terms of going back to the question of self-leadership, what leaders need to understand, the more communicative they are, the better environment they create where someone feels vulnerable, the better leader they're going to get in their organization. But if they're thinking, I'm going to manage others, you do this, but they stay in their office, they don't communicate, they don't show empathy, they don't create the environment that allows someone else to feel safe, you're not going to get the leaders you want.
Yeah. Bam! I drop the mic, that's kind of how I feel right now. Well, our time's running low. We do it quick for 15 minutes because everyone's busy. Well, hopefully these AI give you back your time so you can listen to Rachel, more of these podcasts.
Rachel, can I challenge you on that?
Yes, of course. Please do.
So when we say everyone's busy doing what?
Prioritizing other things, that's the reality.
We say, I get this reality, but it doesn't have to be the reality. If someone says to me, are you busy? I say no. Right. And I'll tell you why. Because when we think of the word busy, 75% of people have a negative connotation to it. I appreciate 25% is positive. I love being busy, getting out there, doing stuff. I get that. But 75% of the people I speak to, I said, when you think of the word busy, what are the emotions that come up? And the words that come up to mind are overwhelmed, panic, stress, anxiety, too much to do. So I said, why would you use a word that relates to something that causes extra stress? So when we say we're busy, well, if this podcast for 30 minutes isn't important to us and you've got to fit it in the gap, you've got your priorities wrong. Because you've just said this content will help someone sharpen their knife. So they spend 30 minutes listening to this. Now their next meeting is more productive and it lasts only 1 hour because they're more incisive, as opposed to 2 hours because they're fluffing. And the reason they're not fluffing, because with you and I or other guests you have given them little tools. So I have this notion where I don't believe in busy. If someone says they're busy, you're not working effectively, right?
Right.
Because You're doing this podcast now. I'm sure once we finish this, you've got a couple of calls to make. You've got a report to write. You've got another emails. You've got another thing. So if I looked at your diary, there's things doing. I get that. But you get to do these things.
I choose to do things, right?
Exactly.
I get to choose. Right, I choose.
So don't join all the activities up and then think, oh my God, I've had a busy day. I'm just doing what I'm doing. At 10 o'clock, I've got a call with my tech team. At 1 o'clock, I've got another call. I've got to write some report. I've got to do something for my book. Just doing what you're doing and allow yourself in the language not to be busy and allow to be considered.
I like it. Choose your words. That is your inner voice, right? That's basically where we're going here, and for our viewers that are aiming to elevate their results, because I think from this conversation, I'm going to change that idea of I don't even want to use that word anymore. It's like the word can't. I won't even let my kids use it. I'm like, you don't say that word in our house. It's like, you don't do that, So no more the B word from today. So thank you for that. But the viewers that are aiming to elevate their results, what are 3, go-tos, your inner game practices that you really love to implement to help people lead themselves, to help people lead others effectively in their business, their organization, their family, their sport? What are they? Because I'm sure there's a parallel across them all.
There is, and we've touched upon it already. Number 1 is stop using the word busy. And I mean that from a serious point of view. So think about a team. My team is never allowed to say they're busy. Okay. So say on Monday we talk about something and say, okay, right, great. We've got this thing to do. We need it by Wednesday. And the team or the individual says, yes, I'll get it Wednesday. The first question I ask them, looking at your current diary, is there anything that may mean you couldn't deliver on Wednesday? They look at the diary. No, I've got that. There's no reason based on my current timetable, I can still do it. So there's no reason now that deliver Wednesday. But guess what? Life happens. Something else between Monday and Wednesday could occur that we didn't expect. At that point, they have to be in communication. But when I say be in communication, it's not, they can't just communicate. So I talk about what method I would agree. So you have to call me, or you have to WhatsApp me, or you have to voice note me. So you're in communication where it's not a fait accompli. They can't say, I know I agreed on Wednesday, but this has come up, so it'll be Thursday. No. We have to discuss whether that's okay. You don't give me a fait accompli. And in that communicate, and that's when you manage up and manage down, both ways. So number 1 tip is stop using the word busy, but also most importantly, agree with your team. No one's allowed to use it. And what happens then, it forces your brain to elevate the quality of your words and conversation. Because now you're going to get granular. You can't say I'm busy, so fob off. You can say, actually, I overcommitted, or actually, this has come up, actually, or at the source of the request, that's got to be difficult for me because of X, Y, Z. Instead of Wednesday, can I deliver Friday? All of a sudden, the person saying, actually, yeah, Friday's all right. All of a sudden, with a little bit of pushback, a little bit of no, you all win, as opposed to having to people please. So number 1 tip is stop using the word busy and agree with the team you no longer using. Tip number 2, have permission to say no without being personally offended. So what does that mean? In the team, whether you're the president, the top guy, or whether you're the junior, everybody's allowed to say no on request. But they can't say no from the position of, oh, I just want to be awkward, or I just can't be bothered. It's coming from the position of actually capacity-wise or priority-wise, this is not work, so you have another conversation. And what that does is releases the notion of thinking that communication is not available. Now, what also happens, if we know we've got a culture of saying no with context, but the right way, I'm going to think twice about asking. And I'm going to think, actually, could I do this? Or actually, do I need it by then? And it forces your performance. Then everybody's. How many times people say, do you know what? If people just left me alone, I'd get so much done. Right? And it's not a question they don't leave them alone, is they don't know how to say no with power that allows that has a considered conversation around the request to see what's possible for win for both.
I like that.
Yeah. The third aspect in terms of self-leadership is, do you know, I just lost my train of thought. Busy. Sorry. The third aspect of say again.
Say no with permission.
Yes. Not saying busy. A bit to say no. And the third aspect of self-leadership is around sort of accountability, right? It's keeping your word. Integrity. So do not commit to things that you can't do or not going to do. So when you imagine this, right? Imagine, Rachel, let me ask you this. Imagine everybody in your world, whether it's family or work, whether it's a small thing, meaning where your partner says, yeah, I'll just put the rubbish out, right? To a big thing where one of your business partners says, I'm going to get the financial forecast for this thing, that everybody's kept their word. And you knew when somebody's going to say something, they just do it. And if they can't, they're in communication. If just keeping your word, and that again forces you not to say things you can't commit. So at the source, you might disappoint someone, but it's a much more fruitful conversation. Does that make sense? And you're not.
Absolutely. You know, Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word is one of them. You know,
exactly, impeccable with your word. So I have two stipulations in my organization, and that everything is downstream. Number 1 is you manage my expectations, and number 2, you'll be in communication. If you manage my expectations, I know what's coming, I know what I need to do. And the second aspect, if you're in communication when things aren't working out, we can have a conversation. I'm not left with, oh, right, I'm expecting something on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, so we spoke about it Monday. We get on the call and they come up with a plethora of excuses and reasons why it hasn't happened. And then all of a sudden we've created a bottleneck. And we always, and on all of those things are antidotes to firefighting. And firefighting, you're always behind the 8 ball. Why do we live a life, whether it's work or otherwise, that you're behind the 8 ball? So it's about being disciplined around it. So it's all around communication. So they're my 3 tips. Stop saying the word busy. Stop accepting the word busy. Have permission to say no with context in a team environment. And third one, be impeccable with your word. Keep your word.
Absolutely. Amazing advice. There's no doubt. I think every organization should make it mandatory to implement these 3 at a minimum today, because just communication in general will help, dissolve many problems that could be preventable. I mean, that's the reality. And I wish we learned it more in school, but because we don't, you got people like Baiju that's here to help you along the way. So do reach out if you do have any questions at all. Baiju, I can't thank you enough. I have so much gratitude for you sharing your wisdom. I can't wait for your new book coming out. Tell us all more about it so we can look forward to it.
I'm really excited. So my book called Humanity's Edge: Why Self-Leadership and Accountability is the game changer for high-performing teams in this age of AI. So really delighted to get a book deal with Wiley. We're in the process now, so the book will be out next April.
Fantastic. Well, we're all about human connections here. We are unlocking business relationships one connection at a time, but it takes humans to do it. And I'm so grateful that you're here to help other humans that are in our community to watch this live and really share it, because it will take ripple effects for people to start implementing this just by following these easy tips. They're so simple, so easy. So I wish you the best of luck in joining and starting the movement to change your life, your leadership, and really driving your business success. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I wish you guys a beautiful day. And this is sponsored by the Biz Angels, who are there to help implement your lead generation. If you need us out in the field, get in touch. And we can't wait to see you next week and hear all about what you've done to drive your leadership and your organization. So thanks again, Baiju. Really grateful for your time. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Rachel. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.